Right, so it looks like we have Mark Mueller-Eberstein and Mick Mironov with us today, and I will be your moderator. It looks like Mick and Mark, there you are. So quick introduction. Mick Mironov is a founding partner at SMC Capital and co-founder at Crypto Rebel. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Mark Mueller-Eberstein. Mark is the founder of Agitech Core and is the manager of the Codex 3 Blockchain Investor Partnership. He is a member of the Alliance of Angels, AOA, Angel Capital Association, ACA, and SWAN. Welcome, Mark. How are you doing today? Oh, it looks like you're still on mute.
Looking forward to be here, Thelma. Thank you for the introduction, and I'm looking forward to the conversation, Nick.
Thank you. So we are starting a little bit late, so let's jump right in. The first question, what is the main trend in blockchain investments in 2021? DeFi, NFTs, public chain, security, mining? Mark, over to you.
Happy to. So I'm always quite concerned about buzzwords, right? Every time, so we were talking about DeFi starting in 2019, but of course, then we saw all the craziness happening in 2020. Now, the impact DeFi will have on the financial systems and how we and billions of additional unbanked people have access to financial instruments will definitely change over the next decade. So lots and lots of potential there, but be very careful with buzzwords.
Mick, anything to add?
Oh yeah, I mean, you mentioned you touched base on like actually the actual trends really. So the SMC Capital, we look at all of them. So I agree with Mark actually. Like the buzzword of DeFi is like quite strong, and taking into consideration like projects in DeFi started like popping up in 2019. Uniswap is not an old phenomena, right? But nevertheless, for 2021, we see like three main investment theses for ourselves. So that's DeFi, cybersecurity, NFTs, indeed, which are actually a buzzword, except the cybersecurity, even though perhaps that's the most practical practical issue to solve in DeFi space, as it was a major problem last year with the highest number of attacks on DeFi platforms, and you can name so many platforms that lost funds, like SushiSwap and many others, in millions of dollars. So we think that 2021 will bring even more security breaches, even more funds lost. And so companies that have a product market fit and like a good solution, be it in an audit or smart contract audit, prevention of the hacks. So we think that market fit is very valuable in 2021 in blockchain.
I agree with Mick. I think security is a key issue in our space for sure, and not only in the blockchain space, in the IT space and infrastructure in general. So investments in that space make perfect sense. The question is it going to be a token project? Is it to be an equity play for a company that is, for example, doing code reviews? That I think smart contracts, fantastic invention, but again, where we are from a security review perspective, and we unfortunately have seen how many funds have been lost over the last year by scrupulous players that are going after security vulnerabilities in the code. There need to be better solutions, and I think companies, if we're more professional we are going to get, as more money is going into that area, security and the willingness to invest in security solutions will be definitely increasing.
Okay, so the next question, what is your strategy for investing in nascent DeFi market? Mark, do you want to go first?
Well, one of the things that worked best for me investing in the blockchain space is what I've learned as an angel investor. You're looking at the teams. It's very, very clear. You understand who is behind it. Do they have the capability of really tackling the problems? If it's a problem worth tackling. And then you start to figuring out which direction are they going? Can you help them? Can you help them with money? Can you help them with advice? To trying to help engage with the community. And I think that's how you learn where the diamonds in the roughs are, where the big opportunities are. But also, unfortunately, there are a lot of hot areas and where the chances of losing your money as investor are higher than in the other areas. We as Codex 3, as investor group, we always really care about the companies we're working with. I mean, we had digital Davos, we have been at the real Davos over the last years, and usually we bring the leaders of the projects that we believe in with us. So I mean, we're in the DeFi space quite long. So Rune from MakerDAO had joined us in 2020 in Davos, just before everything fell apart in the rest of the world. So we have close relationships to the people that are behind the projects we're trying to support. And we have done this now for the last, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years, especially not only in the blockchain space, but across our investment portfolios.
Sorry, I think I lost my video. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, Mick, did you want to add anything?
Oh, well, I agree with Mark about the team, the importance of the team, of course. But at SMC, and we are launching a swap VC, which is a DeFi and NFT focused fund. We decided we go first with a market fit, because well, DeFi is so new still, and so well, we still think it's risky. And there are so many different plays, you know, like, so last year we were investing in decentralized exchanges, in aggregators, and it was great. But like, there are so many more problems to be solved, frankly speaking, such as non-collateralized lending, or you name it, hedging or insurance. So we do look at the market fit first, and then we look at the team, of course. And when we think about DeFi investment in 2021, you can of course differentiate, like, investment in new projects, or, you know, secondary market, because we think that secondary market also provides enormous opportunity for investment. And when making that decision, we have like so much data available. For example, Onchain Data. One should definitely look at Onchain Data. You know, Compound, Land, they all have data that can provide so much information, like how loans been underwritten on specific day, you know, like transactions on chain. So this can be like very helpful to see, you know, like the development of the project, or where it's heading in the near term.
Yeah, I think that's really unique in the blockchain space, the transparency of the public ledgers, being able to see who is investing, or which wallets at least are investing, where's the capital flows. I think makes a huge impact. And I think it really changed at least the short-term trading perspective a lot over the last years. I mean, we're all in the smart short-term investor fund manager is probably on its way out, and it's all about quantum analytics, especially with so much data being available, taking advantage of short-term movements. Again, we're, as an investor group, we're focusing more on long-term investments. We don't do day trading, but there is a huge opportunity in that space. It's just not I would say I don't have the nerves for that anymore. But we're really looking for long-term investments. And I think DeFi, as you said, in general, has the opportunity to make fundamental changes, I think, that will be paying out over the next decade.
Okay, so something that you touched on a little bit earlier, do you care to discuss security breaches in DeFi? Do you care to go a little bit more in detail about that?
Yeah, well, I think we covered a bit, you know, like the craziness of the last year, and Mark mentioned a couple of cases. I mentioned, and actually they were the highest last year, but then security firms still say, you know, like, this year is going to bring even more breaches. So there is like there was a great overview published of what you know, like the most prominent ones for me was like a sushi swap. I think around 15 million was lost. BZX 8 million. Something like called Eminence Finance, around those numbers. And yeah, what's I think the trend right now also, and people start talking about that, also security of NFT tokens that can also be under hackers attack. So this is something new and exciting. That's also, well, exciting. I mean, in the sense that it's new. Like NFT, of course, NFT is not new as a phenomena. CryptoKitties, you know, congested Ethereum already a couple of years ago. but the phenomena of security for NFT tokens is something fresh, and obviously there needs to be a solution for that as well.
Yeah, just seconding that. I think there's a couple of areas. If you talk security, there's a couple of areas you have to look at. One is, of course, is the software itself. So smart contracts are what are they? Software, and software has bugs. I mean, we are writing software for decades now, and we know there are issues with that. So we just need to we just have to understand, how do we deal with it? How do we fix them? How do we manage them? And how do we manage the risk that comes with it? I mean, long time ago, I was working at Microsoft, and part of us, we were working with governments on security audits of the source code. And if you have the right people in the right environment, they can go anywhere. I think we had the MI5 people from London on the Microsoft campus in Redmond. And I think it took them less than half an hour to break basically every system they wanted to break. And that's, I think, off the record, or it's definitely so far in the past that it doesn't count anymore. But we've seen it with the Russian hackers happening. I mean, there's so many. It's just a question of how do you manage risk. Same, I think, on the personal level. I mean, people are fallible. There's social engineering that's happening all the time. In crypto, we'll say not your keys, not your coins, but how do you manage your keys? I think the times where you have significant holdings, where you have your keys on a ledger at home, those are definitely over. You need to think about professional custody solutions. You have to have security in place that is more than bank-like, to making sure that all of these things with multi-sigs and so on are set up in a way that you have firewalls, physically and technical firewalls in place to protect assets. And that's not only for yourself, but also for the people you work with, and or the money you manage for them, the assets you manage for them. You have to be showing responsibility by understanding what security really means.
Anything to add there, Mick?
Yeah, perhaps, going back to 2020, what we noticed in DeFi space, there was such a shortage of smart contract auditing. So people were, producing so many smart contracts, and there was a shortage. Some companies had to wait like 2-3 months before being audited, and there's definitely a niche for more. There are some established names in DeFi audit or generally smart contract audit space. However, we think that there's still a long way to go. If such companies like SushiSwap have like 15 million C funds in like one day of their clients, and basically being one of the leaders in DeFi space in yield farming, people just go there by the name. So obviously, if you invest in early stage, make sure that there is a very solid audit of smart contract and the architecture. Well, if it's an exchange, and architecture of the exchange.
And partly it goes back to the team again. Are they humble enough to understand it? I mean, we have this in enterprise software, again, feeling like aging myself here, but we basically said there are two kinds of companies: the companies that have been hacked and the companies that do not know that they have been hacked. So just be clear of what's really going on. Be aware of how you manage your security, and mitigate risk accordingly. There is no total secure computer other than the one that is in concrete and behind biometrics with multiple access people and so on. Everything else is a degree of insecurity, but it's a question of how you manage that insecurity.
So looking ahead, regarding investing in secondary markets in 2021, what tokens represent good value opportunity? Mick, do you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, I think it's quite timely, as Ethereum is like hitting all-time high, and everyone is like talking about that. So and charting like way past 3K in a matter of days. I can start, Mark. Again, it comes down to our investment thesis, right? So we do believe in DeFi. So we think like lots of DeFi projects, platforms that's like established aggregators like 1inch Finance probably is a good example that can perform well in the secondary market. And then the promising chains that many people expect a lot from them, like perhaps Polkadot is the name out there, Cardano. However, it's been it's been going up for the last couple of weeks, and at the same time, there is a very good comparison. There is only one transaction per 8 seconds or something like that. In comparison to Ethereum, you can't even like put them next to each other. Yesterday there was a new data that Ethereum now settles $3 billion more per day than Bitcoin chain. So we do believe in Ethereum, and we do believe in a couple of public chains that still have a potential. That's something happening there. However, 2017 really showed that so many blockchains just promise something like Neo, and at the end almost abandoned. So we think the same is going to happen in this bull run, and the winner is probably going to stay the same. We do believe in Ethereum with the new upgrades should deliver lots of value.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth in that as well, Mick. I think just adding on top of that, I mean, of course, so I think Grayscale just announced how many billions they put in addition into the Bitcoin environment. So I think that's very likely going to be staying here. When I think about crypto investor, and one of my first mentors, Virgilio, said, if you can't stomach 30% drops, you don't deserve 300% gains. And that was with Bitcoin. So outside of, I like that too, and it kept me sane during those times. And yes, yeah, it's especially, I would say, we will see a roller coaster ride for a while, even with Ethereum and Bitcoin for sure. And the swings are much more in the altcoin space. So just be prepared for dramatic swings. The challenge is which of those are just market forces or FUD or manipulation, and which of those are fundamental either value generation or value destructions. I think, Mick, you mentioned a couple of projects. I would say that I definitely earlier, like Uniswap, for example, is definitely something that is a real project. There's something real going on. Would I advise anybody to buy today to sell tomorrow because the price goes up? I have no idea. So it might drop by 50% tomorrow. I do though think that if you look back a year from now, I think it doesn't really matter if you bought it at $4 or $6 or $9. It's probably going to be a decent investment if you have time horizons like that, right? Similar, I think Ethereum, who knows where it will be in a week or two, but it looks like the infrastructure, basically the supercomputer that's out there. Will Polkadot play an active role, or if we see Ethereum 2.0? I think there's a lot of space in this environment where things can happen. It's interesting, maybe for you mentioned Polkadot, Mick, for a lot of the people here on the phone that or on the call, that for a US investor, it's actually not very easy to buy Polkadot today. So you have to be outside of the US. So if I would be outside of the US and I said, well, if the US investors start to be in that space in a year or two and Polkadot is still around and active, there might be some upside there in the long term, right?
They can buy synthetics on one of the decentralized finance platforms.
Yeah,
sure.
but again, that's one of the reasons why we founded Codex 3 was, I'm part of the traditional investor groups. We're investing from consumer products to medical technology. And most of us heard about blockchain, and most of them heard about blockchain over the last few years. I said, I have no idea what to do. I basically can't even open a Coinbase account. I don't know what to do with my money in that space. And these people are they're just starting to figure out what happened in that space. And that's why they buy Grayscale shares. But there's still much potential on the sideline that hasn't even understood what to do in this.
Yeah, and perhaps NFTs, like this year is gonna be like the trend, like what we've seen in 2017 with the ICOs.
Yeah.
You already see like major players like Gemini going into place, major artists, and we just started like doing a review of NFTs because we believe it has like a really great upside or investment potential. And it's so interesting like that. The market, it's not so homogeneous, like you have digital art next to it, some collectibles, some football cards, and digital land, like in a virtual world that goes like for 100K American dollars per piece of land, so So it's all very exciting, and you know, major players are coming there. So definitely, definitely looking into that. It's also tokens, right? So just a different type.
But the same thing, yes. So the technology, the approach for non-fungible tokens, absolutely. Securitization of assets, I think absolutely has a lot of future. Having said that, so many scammers out there and projects. So it's a very easy way to lose money, but it's also, on the other hand, a very, very important technology.
So we do have a question in the chat. What are your thoughts on Ripple, XRP, and the SEC lawsuit? Looks like Mick has a lot to say about this.
No, it's just like you know, you know, we also provide like daily updates with the news, and every day Ripple has like more and more like exchanges delist Ripple. Like Kraken was the latest one from the top exchanges. As far as I remember, Grayscale, they dissolved XRP funds, so I guess this money went into Bitcoin. Well, I can't really comment on the price increase that happened like literally today. So it's again above like 30 cents, but it's quite worrisome. I mean, I know Ripple I know people from Ripple, and you know what people have been building, and a lot of crypto traders or people in crypto space, they don't understand what XRP is actually, you know, like how Ripple system really works. Do you need XRP to make a payment in this ecosystem? So I think SEC had you know, after they realized that, you know, XRP actually doesn't play much role in the ecosystem of Ripple, they were like, so how come it's like third market what it's called third on the by by market capitalization? So I think some questions asked to Ripple, excuse me, to a Ripple co-founder are quite relevant, and they make sense. And I just wonder why nobody really, not so much, well, not, there were some people like questioning the value of XRP, given that it doesn't play so much role in the ecosystem, and also the dilution, the inflation of XRP of incredible proportion, you know, like you need to be blind not seeing that. And yeah, I can't comment on like the future price of the token, but I do think that SEC had some merit in there in questioning yeah, the co-founder.
Mick, you put it very, very diplomatically, I think. Again, I'm still confused why most people don't get it. There's a difference between Ripple, the company that is focusing on streamlining payments between financial institutions, and an equity investment in that company might have made sense at one point in time.
Yeah.
And then there's a Ripple token, which, as Mick pointed out, what's the value of that token? What can you actually do with it? I always said I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to zero, but there are market forces and marketing forces behind it that are driving this price up and down. So people that are in the day trading business can make a killing in that space. That doesn't say anything about the value of the token itself. And I think that's the last thing I can add to that, what Mick just said. I think, no, we do not hold any Ripple, and we have
us neither.
So it's not part of our portfolio.
How can investors utilize on-chain data for better investment decisions? Mark, do you want to take this one first?
It's happening all the time. I mean, as an individual, you have access to so much information now. It starts to get even hard to manage it. There's a lot of, you start to have tools available that are making it easy for investors. But if you look at the last, I would say 12, 18 months, the professionalization in the crypto trading space has made leaps and bounds. So as an individual, you start to compete with basically groups of people and professional tools. And that's coming back in investment space. It's equity investment tool providers, like we did in the traditional financial world, the fintech market, the trading environment. There are lots and lots of opportunities. I think can disclose is one of our investments is in a company called Covario out of Switzerland. They are basically building a primary brokerage business for large-scale investors. And that's all about integration into physically into the exchanges, so physical closeness to the actual exchange service, but also on the software side, making sure that the right trading software, the right analytics, the right on-chain analytics are pulled in and near real-time processed and then accordingly traded on the market. So I think we're seeing a big shift over the last 3-4 years, again, from being the hobby trader in their screen to professionalization of the crypto trading.
Thank you. Anything to add to that, Mick?
Yeah, I guess indeed, you know, the area like on-chain data is being like so streamlined. You have providers, but I think like as a basic tip to if this was question like related to investments, it's really basic. You know, this information, for example, you can find on Etherscan, or like I give like a very practical example, right? So last week or the week before, Binance was listing a new token in their innovation zone, and this token was tied to mining. So actually, you know, like it was very difficult to assess the value of the token, you know, like but what helped a lot, you know, looking at Binance Chain and seeing that okay, that wallet has like 75% of all the tokens in circulation locked, and that's like super transparent, right? And you think, and that then you can make like more or less decision like what the price can be for this token, because you know like the demand can be higher and then the supply. So this is like just a very simplistic example. So you can just go, if this token was issued on Ethereum, you can check Etherscan and take a look at you know transactions, you know, and then think about it. If there was some investment, you know, like people got into the wallet, a couple of thousand, a couple of millions, or is that matching with the white paper, what people are saying, you know, for if the project is new, or claiming that they already got investment and you can't see it on chain. So one of these are just like some very practical examples one can use in support of the judgment for a project whether to invest or not.
Yeah, it makes due diligence much easier. Make you absolutely right.
Thank you. And would either of you like to do a closing remark?
Vic, you want to get started? You want to start, or?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks a lot for inviting, and then I guess to reiterate, you know, like to make a recap of what we spoke. You know, the DeFi, cybersecurity, NFTs. I guess those are the areas where we look at for 2021, and then for secondary markets. Yeah, there should be lots of interesting opportunities, and yeah, look at Ethereum all-time high today. I think it's something to celebrate for those like us Ethereum holders.
Yeah, I would second that. So it's definitely worthwhile. Like right now is the coffee time here in the Pacific Northwest, but tonight opening a bottle of champagne might be a good idea. So yeah, I think be clear on as an investor, be clear on your you have a short-term or a long-term focus. Short-term, be clear what your competition looks like. Long-term, look for the right teams, look for the right projects that are going to add benefits to a broad user community in the future. Be very aware of security, personally, for your own assets, for the assets you're managing, for the projects you are investing in. And again, it's not only software, it's the people, it's physical security. You really have all of that under control as strongly and as professionally as possible. And be aware of scams, and trying not to be part of any of those, either voluntary or involuntary, by spreading FUD. With that, I read the Davos environment again. So thank you, Thelma, Carl, Strombox, Eduardo, just pulling this all together. It's getting as close to being all together in Davos, I think, as it can get these days. So I'm looking forward to see you all in person again soon.
Thank you for your time, gentlemen. It was a pleasure having you on the panel.